Sharon, welcome to the GROUPEX podcast. It's good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, Tony. Appreciate being here.
And I'm looking forward to getting to know you a bit better and finding out about you, your background, and how you got into the industry. So let's kick it off. Can you introduce yourself? Let us know who you are, where you're from, and how you got here.
Well, thank you. I'm Sharon. I am currently a group fitness manager at a national level for clubs, not currently teaching due to injuries and surgeries and rehabbing, which I think a lot of us tend to do as we get a bit older.
Yeah.
And I've probably been teaching for a bit over 10 to 12 years, I think.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, and living on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland.
Nice. So it's probably, 28, 29 degrees up there today?
Oh, no, it's cooled off. I think it's only mid-20s. It's just a little bit cooler than that.
I love it. That's like a winter for you guys, isn't it?
I know. It dropped down to 15 last night and I nearly died of frostbite.
So I won't tell you this morning when I got up to go to CrossFit, it was 7 degrees down here in Wollongong.
Yeah,
So,
no, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, we'll pass on that. She says, yeah, great. Love it. So you've been in the industry for, 10 years or so, whatever it's been. What is your most favourite thing about the fitness industry?
It's probably that connection to people and that everyone can do it no matter their ability level, whether you are rehabbing from an injury, whether, you are an elite athlete. There is a place for everyone. And one thing like it is about that community in club, that, in classes, that you get to know your members, you have conversations, you have that connection and you get them coming back because you get to know them.
Yep. No, I agree with you on that. I think that was probably part of the reason why I jumped into it, but also because there was gorgeous girls back when I was in 2003 when I first started. There was a whole lot of gorgeous women in there and I wanted to meet someone and, did, which is great, in the studio as well, but we won't go down that. That's another story at another podcast another time. But I agree with you. Getting in there, helping people, meeting people, I think was one of those big things for me that ticked a lot of boxes in the early days as well. So
Yeah.
it's nice that other people feel the same, especially from, people that are in the industry. So I've got you on the show because I want to talk to you about GROUPEX management. Yep. And you are, as you said, you're a GROUPEX manager or group fitness manager at the moment up there. What was it that made you decide, or how was it that you decided to go, you know what, I want to be a manager in this industry?
I think for me, it is sort of like, I'd become stagnant as an instructor myself. I was teaching at a couple of different gyms. Also probably frustrated with the way the group fitness managers worked at those gyms. And then there was a new club opening up here on the Sunshine Coast and I was put in contact with those people and applied that way. I thought, why not? See if I can do it.
Make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's honourable. I think it's appreciate the honest answer too. And I say that because not saying that any of the other guests I've had on are bullshitted to me, because I know they're all being honest and that kind of stuff. But when you chat to as many people as I have been recently with this whole GROUPEX management stuff, there's so many different answers that come out as to why people do what we do. Some of them going, oh, I was just chosen. Yep, cool, get in there and go for it. And I'm doing the best I can. Some of us have actually gone, you know what? No, I've seen how it was done. And I know I can do it better, or I want to be able to do it better, or I want to learn how to do it better, or, I see the instructors out there, I see my peers out there, and I want to make sure it's a better place for all of us to do the best we possibly can out there. So I appreciate what you've said with that as well. What is it in GROUPEX management that ticks your box the most? What is the thing that you love doing in group exercise management?
I think it's a lot different now from when I first got into it to what I do now, because the industry has changed. Like for me, I suppose like at the start, I wanted to be a boss, that, I wanted to be, and I wanted to develop a timetable. I wanted something new. I wanted to work with instructors that I knew that had been treated poorly at other clubs. And I wanted to build a way for that to not happen, for, people to feel comfortable in their classes, that, no, you're not just being yanked off the timetable because you've had low numbers for 4 weeks. Like, that's not how I roll and see that. And whereas now it's different because I'm not at a club level, whereas I'm overseeing clubs and working with other group fitness managers. Now it's more about supporting them. How can they do it better? How as a company can we do it better? Big on data as well, with number tracking sheets and things like that, which is something that didn't realise floated my boat until I started sort of doing this and creating all these procedures and processes when I was a first GFM that weren't at other clubs. That, like some clubs I taught at, no one ever communicated how, or when I had to invoice. Covers lists were basically a shit show, for a lack of a better term. Like we had the piece of paper with a cover just written or whatever else, and so you could have a couple of months worth of covers that one's written right up at the top of the page, but it's not for 3 months down the track. So that's where I've implemented like weekly cover systems and things like that for and now it's on Google Sheets, so everyone can access it. You don't have to be in club to do it. Like there's a whole thing that now in group fitness management, I want to support my group fitness managers to be the best that they can be the best leaders, that they understand like some of the things behind the business, that, why is your budget like this? All those sorts of things. It's probably like a big generalized answer, but it's not just there's one thing on why I want to do it or what I enjoy about it.
I appreciate your answer, because as you just said then, there's no right or wrong. That's the thing that I enjoy so much about talking about this, is that everyone has a different way of doing it, and there is no right or wrong. Your way may be right for you guys, but may be wrong for another centre somewhere. Yeah. And the way that they do things wouldn't work for you. There's no, there is no, in what we do in managing people and managing the way that we manage departments, people, instructors, all of that kind of stuff, there's only what works for you. Yeah. There's different styles. We can give you different education that we learn as GROUPEX managers or as people helping GROUPEX managers out there. But it's really going to come down to the personality of the GROUPEX manager and the personality of your group fitness instructors to how things will work. And I appreciate you saying that, because there's what I want to delve into is your style and how you help your team do being the best that they can possibly be, as you said as well, heading into that kind of stuff. Let's talk about tracking then for a minute. Yeah. What sort of things have you implemented for tracking that you hadn't seen done before? Because obviously you've had an opportunity to get in there from when you were a group fit manager to now being the national group fit manager. What are some of the things, if you can share? So I don't know if you're allowed to, but if not, but are you allowed to share a little bit of that, and are you willing to share a little bit of that? I should have asked as well.
To quote someone that I work with, it's better to ask for forgiveness, not permission. So we'll go with that. Yeah.
Love that.
I think for me, like, for example, when I got into group fitness management, I had zero experience as a group fitness manager. But for me, it was thinking about how things should be run, what do we need to know, all that sort of stuff. So I just set up sheets for myself, thinking, a little bit business-minded on how this should be. So we have weekly number sheets that they fill in with, and that has, like, listed, and it's all color-coded as well for the, all the class types. Like, we've got to have color coding. And that's more for easy reference. And then that is just records how many people attended that class, what was the cost of that class, who was the instructor, what was the average cost per head. It also then has formulas in it where they need to enter in their the weekly club attendance, which they're sent every week, so we can work out the average class attendance and then what the retention rate is as well from group fitness. So we have that, and then that's put into like an overall sheet which tracks the entire timetable that is current, and that color coordinates every single class on it to see whether, it's a red, whether it's a low performing class, orange, intermediate, yellow, yep, that's okay, and green's definitely good, don't touch it. Yep. So yeah, things like that we report on, but it's also too, when we're reporting, we're not reporting on numbers only. We report on like what happened that week, that there could have been a public holiday. Yep. There could have been an accident on the M1 which shut down both ways, had to cancel a class because the instructor couldn't make it, and also the members couldn't make it. Yep. So we're sort of keeping on track with those. So that's sort of what we do for numbers, and then we can then make timetable adjustments based on those.
Yeah, based on facts rather than feelings.
Yep.
I like that.
It's hard.
Now, can you see from your level? So how many clubs are there in total across the brand? I've tested you now, haven't I? She says, Tony, it's 30-something. I'm going to get back to you in a second.
I want to say we've just opened our 12th.
Okay. Yep.
We'll go with that.
Cool. let's go 12. Yep. Let's just say we're hypothetical for a
Yeah.
moment. Let's just say 12. Can you see from the position you're in, can you see a report that comes through from all of those 12 venues that comes through to you? So you see it at the top down?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
is it just
I can
individual
see all of
clubs?
those. So they're set up on Google Sheets, so I can see that and have a look.
Have you got that feeding into one central sheet for you, so you can see across the
No,
brand what's
not at
going
the
on, or
moment.
not?
That's one of the things that we're working on now is an automation tracking report, so we don't have to do it. Still planning that out on how that's going to work with the like the class booking system and things like that. Like there's so many variables that can adjust those numbers and make them inaccurate. Like, we've just had with the platform that we use earlier this year, we had automated check-ins enabled on it. So basically the member tags in, it marks them off if they've booked a class, but that doesn't encounter like people that are on a guest pass that don't have an account on the app. That doesn't include people that, class is starting, I might just go in. Things like that. If someone tags into the gym and then they go, I'm going to go sit in the sauna. I'm going to go have a shake and sit down and just have some me time without the kids. I can't be bothered now. That doesn't account for those people that don't show up.
Yeah.
So there are so many ways. And then, I'm looking at different ways where the instructors can like scan a code and then report the numbers, and then that'll feed in somewhere else, and then that'll feed into all those sorts of things. So as I do a bit of app development and stuff within the company as well for other platforms, it's sort of, I know it's a long process. It's not just let's do this and it's ready in a week. It's months of work.
Wouldn't it be nice?
I know.
I want this done, and then there it is.
No. Doesn't work that way.
No, realistically, no chance in hell. What you've just said then ticks a whole lot of boxes for me, and gets my creative juices flowing, because that kind of stuff to me is the future. It means something for us as I pull it back and go, okay, I've walked in there as a GROUPEX instructor. I've taught a class. If there's some easy way, instead of me having to write down on a sheet of paper, I enter it in an app or something like that that's done so easy, that then filters through. So as then put my GROUPEX manager hat on, I don't need to sit there for half an hour a week and do data entry type shit. That's wasting my time. If something like that is totally automated and can be done, hello, you could be on a holiday in Fiji or Bali or wherever the bloody hell you wanted to go, and but lying by the pool, sipping on a pina colada, and grab your iPad, open it up and go, oh, look at that. Check that out. We're at 70% attendance this week. How fucking fantastic is that? Awesome. Anyone in management can then jump into those reports and see that at any one point in time. That, to me, ticks so many boxes. And I think it also, it's like the creative side of my brain from telco and IT stuff from years ago goes, oh, how do we do that? Let's make that happen.
Yeah.
But as you said, it's not going to happen tomorrow.
This is the GROUPEX podcast.
And I think that's the thing too, like 100% exactly agree. Like, and don't get me wrong, I've been seated in Bali doing number sheets from a photo, when I got stuck over there with a sick kid after a trip for my 40th. So I'm sitting poolside, doing work. And that's one of the ways I set up group fitness management within our clubs, is so that you don't have to specifically be in club to do that. You get a photo, you can access it. I can be in Europe and I can still access what's going on. So I think too, but the flip side of that is like that automation is then the human error side of it too, that it's, relying on your instructors that have a device to scan a code or to enter something that has internet capability. Oh, I forgot. Well, how many times, I don't even need one hand to count how many times it would have been probably 5.5 years I was a group fitness manager at a club level, that all the numbers were filled in correctly for the week.
I shouldn't laugh, but I
One hand,
that. Yeah.
52 weeks a year, 5.5 years. Do the math on that. Yeah. And don't even get started on invoices. Yeah.
We're instructors. We count to 8. Come on. We can't do much more than that, can we?
Yeah.
You expect me to fill something in? I've got to sign a timesheet as well.
Oh.
How much more do you want me to do? You're not paying me. Don't go there, Tony.
Don't open that can of worms. We don't have enough time on this.
8 years later, we'll still be talking about it.
Yep.
Oh, dear. No, look, I think that's what you've just touched on is it ticks so many boxes, and I think that as a GROUPEX manager, yes, it's one of the parts of our job we've got to do. We probably don't like it too much, but it's part of admin. It's part of the role that we've got to do. I want to drill a little bit more into that, if you don't mind, and talk about targets, target setting, time slots, all of that kind of stuff with you. Let's go for a brand new gym that's opening up. So you guys are obviously in a big growth phase at the moment as well with the brand and what you're doing. A brand new center opens up. How do you go about setting targets? How do you go about setting your timetable up, all of that kind of stuff? Is it from you? Is it from your GROUPEX manager? Is it your GROUPEX instructors? Is it the owner of the center? Can you talk us through that process?
It's normally the group fitness manager sets the final timetable that we have recruited before the club opens, and then it's up. And we do it that way because normally the group fitness managers are local to that area. They know all the local instructors. Like, I'm on the Sunshine Coast. I know a lot of Brisbane instructors, but I'm not there locally and I'm not at a club. So I need it to be them with the connections and the contacts, and knowing who's good at teaching, knowing who thinks they're good at teaching, knowing, who is one that continually finds covers or who is late to class. Like, you will know that in, the local setting.
Yep.
So we normally have like a set amount of classes that we have for opening, which we open with. And obviously I understand that depending on the location, the demographic and whatever else, sometimes the club's open and classes are packed and it's pumping. Other times it's a lot lower and it takes time to build. So sometimes I'm not, I'm aware that there might be one or two people in a class for weeks or months until we've actually built that sort of community and connection within the club. And I can't tell you, the first club that we opened where I was GFM, I can't tell you how many times I talked to one person, like in RPM or something like that.
Yeah.
And my theory is that one person made the effort to be there. You teach to that one person unless they're not comfortable. They might have got childcare. They might have rushed from work. They might have been having the worst day of their life. A pet might have died. They're having problems at work. And for that 45 minutes on the bike in a class with me, that's enough to make them forget about all their other troubles. So, so I have a lot of those sort of guidelines, I suppose we could call them, for classes that if they make the effort to be there, you teach to them.
Yeah. No, I was talking to someone just recently, as in I think it was on Tuesday morning at 6 o'clock at the gym, that had booked in for training. And I'm not going to say which program because I don't want that company to be embarrassed. And it's not the big monster that most people are out there probably going, oh, it's them. She was booked in to do the course, and a week out from the course was cancelled because of lack of numbers.
Yeah.
Now, I asked, how many people were you told were in it? She said, there was 5. And my gut instinct and my thought straight away was, you're going to cancel it because you've only got 5 people. Okay, there's 5 people that have paid you decent money, because let's be honest, training these days is not cheap. Yeah, if any training is cheap, it's probably not worth doing. Any training that's out there that people have paid for, 5 people paying what I know she paid, I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. Well, how did they not make that money back? I mean, obviously unless you're getting international trainers and presenters to come over to actually do it for whatever reason, but that should have still gone ahead. Now, the lady that I was chatting to, she's a single mum. She's obviously already got plans for how she's going to be organising child for that weekend, doing whatever it may be so she can get to Sydney to do the training. It's thrown the entire plans out of whack a week before. Now, when they've rescheduled it to a day where she's not available, but they've also told her that she can't get a refund. And that just blown my mind of going, wow, okay. And it made me think when you said it about, you still teach to one person. To me, you teach to one person. Cool. If you've got training happening, yeah, okay, I understand that you've got your budgets and all that kind of stuff, but you still make it go ahead. You can still do a training course online, although it's not going to be the best version of whatever it is. You can still present something or have something go ahead. It's not something that, to me, ever needs to be cancelled.
No.
Should I get off my soapbox now?
No, but it's sort of too, like, and obviously, like, it's not the big one we're talking about, but sometimes you've got to look at the bigger picture, like business-wise as well. that if that was the bigger one and they cancelled it like with 5, they'd be very silly to, because of the ongoing training that's offered, the ongoing, music and stuff that you have to buy. Like, they've got to think in advance of the actual revenue streams that they can create from that. So it's, and I don't know if that happens in that other one, but yeah, sometimes people can't see for looking on what it is, and that's sort of
sad that level, that decision's been made higher up in business without really taking into consideration how it's going to affect the end user. And that to me was disappointing to hear. One, because I promoted this program to this person as well and said, no, you know what, with what you're doing, you should really go and give that a shot. So she was a bit disappointed, but she's able to move stuff around anyway to get there. But still, it was that whole first gut of, like, as you said, she's made plans. Like, someone that come into your class this afternoon at 5:30 or tomorrow 5:30, whenever it may be, has made plans to be there. Yep. As you said, they could be their 1 hour escape of a bad, shitty day, a bad, shitty relationship, whatever it may be. They've turned up. As instructors, we need to turn up.
100%.
Whether there's one person in front of us or a room packed, no matter what, we still need to do it. And I think GroupEX managers need to enforce that as well to our members, to our instructors, to, what, we are going to, and as you've put in place as well, no matter what, guys, we teach. Yep. Unless no one turned up. Yep. If no one turned up, righto. Yep. Cool. Your instructor's in there. What are they going to do? Well, they could practice. They're in there anyway.
If my instructors want to be paid, then they need to like clean the studios, help at reception, something like that, to actually, 100%. Because I am of the belief that those instructors, they paid money to get there. If they are like from that big brand, they've practiced, they've paid money for that sort of stuff, and someone might be relying on that money to feed their kids, pay their mortgage, pay their rent for the week. So if they want to earn that money, then that's fine. But you know what? There's always weights to tidy up in the group fitness studio. Same with the gym floor. Reception needs dusting. There's always something that needs to be done. And obviously, like, I'm happy for that to happen, not every week, because that class will need to be removed, because clearly it's not working. But but I'm sort of, as much as I am direct and quite straight to the point, I've also got that people side and understanding that, you know what, this might be the make or break of someone that week.
This is the GROUPEX podcast.
Now, targets. How do you set targets? Are the targets set from above your GroupEX manager? Do we just go, look, yep, that's meant to have 40 in there. You didn't have 40? Oh, well. What do you do with target setting?
Currently, at the moment, our targets are budget related per club, which is also based on our membership numbers and the revenue from the club from those memberships. So we've had them recently adjusted, and that comes from above me. And then it's just my responsibility to pass that out to the group fitness managers and then work with them for timetable scheduling and things like that to make sure it fits within the budget. And for some of our clubs that have more than one studio, like just your standard group fitness cycle, and then there might be Reformer and or Hit Cartel, we have an overall budget with guidelines as to how that should be broken up. But ultimately, it's up to them to move it around so they can move more into Reformer if they've got a bigger Reformer attendance or, following, that sort of stuff. So basically for me, I trust the group fitness managers to create a timetable that's going to work for their club. As long as it's under budget, I don't care. I will review it and have a look and work with them that, I need to remove a class, or this one's getting really low attendance, and we'll look at it and we'll go, well, you've got body attack and RPM on at the same time. That's why. Like, can you split them to be 30-30, make one after the other, have the same instructor teach them and say, come on, let's go in and go to the next one, because let's be honest, that's how half of it's built. If someone's a bit scared, can't tell you how many times I've dragged members. If I'm going, you're going. But they like that, because then it takes away that nervousness as well from it. So, as long as they're sort of under their budgets that they've been allocated there, and, what works here on the Sunshine Coast does not work in one of the Brisbane clubs or another one or whatever else, like different demographics, for different locations.
That was what I was about to ask you next. The timetable you put out for a brand new club, is that exactly the same format as in, 5:30 Monday class is the same as Tuesday classes is in every single gym, or is it all dependent on your demographic, your instructors, your availability, what works, what doesn't work?
It'll be based on the demographic, and also too, like, things, like traffic. How's the traffic
Yep.
for that particular time? A club we opened earlier this year, we opened with a timetable that had 5:30 p.m. body pumps and classes like that. The members couldn't get there in time because the traffic was so built up, they couldn't get there. And so based on that feedback, we relatively quickly changed to make those classes be a bit later, so we could get them in there. And so we set up the timetable, hugely as well with the instructor shortage, and, it now is not a sole source of income for a lot of people. It's basically a second job since the big C thing hit.
Yep.
A lot of it is based on instructor availability as well, and then what works in that area, and then sort of, member feedback after we've been open.
Yeah. There's one thing you touched on there about time and adjusting times, and it was something that happened here down in the Gong a couple of years ago now, probably 2-3 years ago. I can't remember exactly when it was. A centre had reached out and wanted to have a bit of a chat about, getting some feedback from their members. I was struggling with times and getting people attendance was just, it was appalling. They'd put out a survey, to get a bit of feedback from their members, and the feedback came in to say that, those people that actually put in the feedback, I should say, because not everybody did, just those that spoke loud enough and were loud whingers, said, oh, well, if you want people to come in, you need to move that class from 5:30 to 5:15 in the afternoon, because, that's going to suit us better, because we need to get out of here by, 6:15, we need to be gone. So they did. Attendance fell through the arse even more. Yep. There was an uproar from members getting the shits. But down here in Wollongong, if you finish work at 5, you were never going to make it through traffic to the gym for 5:15. 5:30 was still pushing it. Yep. 5:40, spot on. Oh, I can't put it on at 5:40. Why the hell not? You can put it on at whatever time you want. If you wanted to, you could put it on at 5:37. It's just a time, and to get that through their head to go, guys, you need to build it for when traffic's coming through. The best thing I turned around and said to them, and this centre's been open for, I'm going to say probably 30 to 40 years. It's been open for a bloody long time, because when I was a kid, I used to go there, So without name and name, maybe some people will know where I live and what centre it is, but we'll leave that alone. But when they actually sat down and looked at their attendances in the swipes coming in, and I said, just have a gander at this and have a look, they saw that people started coming in just after 5:30. So, well, the majority of people were in there by 5:35, just before 5:40. So how about we throw the class on at 5:40? If you need to push it to 5:45, go for it. Yeah. All of a sudden, numbers started going through the roof. People realised they could actually get there, and it worked. Yeah. Having a class at 5:15, there's no one going to come in. There was a group of people, and those people were the ones that finished work at 4:30. Cool.
Yeah.
They were able to get there in time. But as you sort of alluded to as well, you've got to throw out feedback. You've got to get that feedback from your members to understand what they want, but not just those that are the loudest. Feedback, but also have a look at your traffic reports on when people are coming into the gym to make sure, if for some reason on a Thursday night traffic's worse, you can move your class. You can move your class back for one day. Yeah. People will know that night, brilliant. You know what? I don't know if late night shopping still happens. That things that that was a thing of a. Maybe that's just me going back to the 80s and 90s growing up with, it was Thursday night shopping. We're going out. But on a Thursday night, if you know people are going out, probably don't put as many classes on. If the attendance isn't going to be there, cool, put an early class on so then they can go out afterwards. But I wouldn't be running 5:30, 6:30, 7:30 classes on a Thursday night. Why would you bother? You've really got to build it around who's available and what's available. Let me ask you a question for weekends, because where I was in North Sydney, the gym was shut on the weekend. We're only a Monday to Friday club, and it was pumping because we were in that high corporate area. Most of your gyms are open 7 days a week. Yep. What do you do for timetabling on weekends?
Once again, dependent on the location and what's working. So most of the clubs have Saturday and Sunday morning classes, and then some of them do have 1 or 2 Saturday or Sunday afternoon classes. Okay. And that's really based on their feedback and their timetabling and attendance, because, as you said, those 5 loud people can, I want this and I want that. Yeah. And then you say, put on a Saturday afternoon class because someone wants a yoga or a body balance on at that time, and then on average it's getting 1 to 2, then, you know, as a business decision, it's not a feasible one.
Yeah. I think the only place that I remember seeing in Sydney years ago was Bondi Platinum Fitness First, and maybe Bondi The Edge Fitness First.
Yeah.
That had classes on Saturday afternoons and Sunday afternoons.
Yeah.
And they had classes on in the morning. Don't get me wrong, there was either 7:15, 8:15, 9:15, or whatever it was early in the morning. Nothing then throughout the day. But then there'd be classes on at either 4:30 or 5:30 in the afternoon. And they were jam-packed.
Yeah.
People would either do something in the morning or be at the beach all day.
Yes.
Then go to the beach all day and then, got to get off the beach because I've got to go and do a class.
Yeah.
Jam-packed. Some of those classes were getting 50 to 60 people. Yeah, phenomenal. You don't hear about it in other areas. Well, I didn't usually hear about it when moving to Canberra. Don't bother. Don't bother going. Don't bother moving to Canberra. No, I didn't say that. I don't bother going to the gym on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon because if you're going in there, you're going in there to do weights, but people weren't going in there to do group exercise. And as you said, it is demographic. It is where you are, what's going on, what's around you, that kind of stuff. So it's good to hear that some of them had trying classes on a weekend in the afternoons as well. I think the issue that some clubs have as well on weekend morning classes, some of your members have got kids. Yep. Sport.
Yeah.
For us, it started at 20 to 8. Netball, God, it's freezing cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got stuff that's on. And sometimes the soccer matches, my best mate's son's playing soccer. You know, that soccer classes can be from anywhere from 8 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon because it all depending on where you're playing, who you're playing, what have you. Those morning classes, while they're set in stone, need to be flexible as well. Yeah, seasonal almost. That you're going, cool, okay. In summer, we're going to push it to 8 o'clock. But maybe in winter, we need to move it, 8:30, 9, whatever it may be. So you make sure that you're getting the right amount of attendance at any time in there. You spoke about genre and you spoke about your demographic, I should say. What and how do you work on what programs fit what demographic in your areas?
Once again, that's sort of up to the group fitness managers on who's qualified to teach in the area. I don't necessarily say they're only allowed to have so many Les Mills programs. It's or anything like that. They can, if Les Mills isn't working in their gym, that's fine, get rid of it. They can, do more freestyle, do more HIIT, do more functional using, and I've got the ability to create a class name based off what the current trends are that, if it's functional, we can call it functional something or other or whatever else to get people to understand, what it is. It's no different from when Grit Plyo turned into Grit Athletic because that sounded more catchphrasy. So and that's what I mean. Like we've got one of our older clubs that's was one of the first ones, and they have an older demographic. So we have a program called Active Adults, and that runs, with certain things a few mornings a week, and that's probably one of they're the highest performing classes because, when we talk about demographics, people like your age and I, Tony, like a little bit more mature. We are people that
nice way to put it.
Yeah, like that. We are more set in our ways that we get into a routine and we stay. So for these older people, I changed the name of the class from being Active Seniors to Active Adults because that made them feel a bit better.
Yep.
But even on a public holiday, if you change that class time on a Monday morning, if you remove that, they will be lynched. They will be, horse-drawn cart out the front and limbs pulled from their body sort of scenario. So that stays because they are vocal, but they also have attendance.
Yep.
So I think that's the thing. Whereas then you get the younger ones that come in, which we're seeing quite a lot more of. And if they have a bad experience or they have they do one class and they go, oh my God, that was hard. That's it. They're out.
Yep.
They don't come back in. They don't go, oh, you know what? If I do it 6 times, I'll have a little bit more of an idea. I won't feel like I'm such an idiot.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll get used to that burn and it'll become easier. Or, next week it'll become a bit better. They tap out too early. They don't have that consistency. They don't have the loyalty. So that's where, timetables change all the time based on memberships. We, on average, probably most of our clubs have nearly 200 new members a month. sign up. So when you think about how many new people are coming into your facility, it's always going to be changing to match that demographic.
Yeah.
This is the GROUPEX podcast.
On that, and I don't know if you're allowed to or if you want to, is there a percentage attendance you guys get to group exercise across the board that you want to share with us without it making it sound like, oh, we do this, that kind of stuff? It's more, and I share that, I ask you that question to share because I know there's the amount of people that are listening and watching this at the moment. It's very varied as to where they're located. Some of them are regional. Some of them are so regional where you think, wow, okay, there's no other gym within 100 Ks of where you are. And then there's a hell of a lot of instructors, a hell of a lot of GROUPEX managers around the coastline as well. And that attendance figure is obviously going to change depending on population and all that kind of stuff. What do you guys aim for as in an attendance figure or a percentage figure of attendance in GROUPEX?
Well, once again, as we said, like it's the demographic. For us at the moment, we're not necessarily aiming on the actual attendance because I like the percentage attendance coming in because our budgets are changing and that sort of stuff. And every club is different, so we don't have a standard. Like one club has got one particular budget, then another club 10 Ks away might have a completely different budget and different like programs that they're running, like all that sort of stuff. So, and then too, like if we reduce the budget, which, let's just face it, that's what's happening in across the board everywhere now because everything else costs more and group fitness is an expense within a club, then that's going to affect that percentage attendance too. But on average, like most of our clubs are between 10 to 20% attendance for against the check-ins. And we also break that down into like an overall attendance, so like all of group fitness, or I break it down into just group fitness, and then we've got numbers on just reformer and then just hit cartel, so we can see where it is. And then that also allows us the opportunity to see where we need to promote externally and things like that, and offer trials and just get people in the door for what the current trends are. Yeah,
you touched on something there which just made me smile. You're using the figures that you've got to actually do promotions, do that kind of stuff, and run your business. And I think that's so many people say to me, "Oh yeah, we're recording attendance." Yeah, we are. Cool. What are you doing with it? When I was with Les Mills and traveling around New South Wales and WA, it was one thing that I used to love talking to people about because they're writing it down. It's on that piece of paper and it's stuck in that lever arch folder and never ever seen the light of day again. I come and have a chat to them and they're like, they blow all the dust off it so they can get it all out. Show me stuff. If you're sticking it in a system, you're doing something with it, it allows you, as you said, to, well, okay, why is that not working? You look at it, but it gives you the opportunity to then go and promote and go, hang on a second, that for this demographic, that program should be pumping. Why is it not? Yeah, you've gone through your instructor, you've gone through how to chat to some of your members, you've had a look at the music, you've had a look at the program, you've done all that kind of stuff. It allows you then to go, right, we're going to do some marketing for this. We're going to start pushing it out to our current members externally, whatever it may be. But without those figures and without that data, you're wasting your time and you can't do anything. Yep. So I love hearing the fact that that's what you guys are doing. And I think more and more GROUPEX managers need to start implementing something along that, not just say, we're counting it. Yeah, you don't need to focus on your instructors completely to go, you know what, Sharon, why aren't you getting 75% attendance in this class? What's going on? Yeah. Sometimes it's not your instructor. And I'd say probably, 50% of the time it isn't your instructor. There are other factors playing into why attendance isn't huge, but you need to be tracking attendance. You just don't need to hone in and focus on it and make that the only thing that you're focusing on in your business.
And I've been around now long enough to understand like some of the trends as well. Like in our school holidays, numbers drop because that's when everyone goes away, or some of the on the Sunshine Coast. We'll just use that club as an example because I'm all over those numbers after being there for so long. That it's got a massive early morning attendance. But then if you have a class start much after 6 p.m. at night, boom, no one goes. It's like a small country town. So then I also notice like in school holidays, the school teachers that go to, work that do the early morning classes, sometimes they'll start coming to the 9:15s because they're not rushing off to So that can make changes too. And it's a matter of, understanding those adjustments. And then with all the way that we record our number sheets, then we can go back to the previous year and compare if we need to. And we can compare like reduced timetables at Christmas for how'd we go last year? Like, did we reduce much? And some of the locations we don't reduce as much as others because we are a high traffic, high holiday area. Yeah. So, we don't want to take too much off because we still want people to come. And now that our brand has 24/7 access to all of the other clubs, so now, you live in Brisbane, but hang on, you're in the Sunshine Coast for a week in a school holidays or over Christmas. Well, you know what? You can get on the app and book a class right there and then and attend our club. So it's a lot of those things that we need to think about as well when timetabling and your demographics and what the trends are within your club.
Two things I want to bring up with that, and my brain just went a bit crazy then. Public holidays. Public holidays, it's a lot of gyms go, oh no, well, we're cancelling classes or we're going to reduce classes on public holiday. I don't think anybody should. Now, it's probably a bit controversial when I say that, and there's going to become, but no one's around. Yeah, cool, no one is around. Or, sometimes they don't offer any classes at all. They shut it down and there's nothing on the timetable. What about those people that actually want to do a class? What about if, let's throw this out there. What about if on a public holiday you had open day, you actually open the doors for free to get people to come in? Holy shit, Tony, what are you talking about? We're giving stuff away for free. Why not? Why not? Instead of, you normally have a class at 9 o'clock in the morning, keep the 9 o'clock class on, but open the doors to say to those people that are coming in, bring a friend for free. Because their gym down the road closes the timetable. There's no group fitness classes on whatsoever. Not saying every venue needs to do it, but I'd say that look at what happens around that time. Look at your attendance records. You're going to have them, as in people swiping into the gym, not your GROUPEX attendance. Yep. Have a look at it all and see what you can do. Do something different. Step out of the box that you're in. Have a look. Try it. What's it going to cost you? Nothing more than what it would have normally cost you if it wasn't a public holiday. Yep. You may have reduced some classes, so you're still going to have that money coming through. Yeah, we have to pay our instructors a little bit more for public holiday wages and all that kind of stuff. However, that's worked out internally. I'm not going down pays again. Leave that alone. Yeah, whatever that agreement is. Yeah, but look at what it can potentially do. You may be able to offer some classes on that day that then all of a sudden, you know what? You had 4 members join your club because holy crap, they actually open on a public holiday. They're going to offer me something. Yeah? Yep. And that Christmas time. Now, I used to get roasted big time at North Sydney for reducing the timetable. We'd reduce our timetable for the last 2 weeks in December and the first 2 weeks in January. Why? Because North Sydney would almost die in the arse. There were so many people that would be off, school holidays, doing whatever, But there were some that would come, and those people that would come would get the shits because, well, why reducing my class? I come at that time. I'm here. Yeah, you can't please everybody.
No.
But you've also got to take into consideration, and that was conversations I used to have with them, is that, if we were getting 4,000 people coming through the gym in a week, normally, during those weeks, we're probably only going to get 1,000. There's a reason why we have to reduce the offering that we have. We're still offering classes, but instead of having them in shoulder slots, we're just putting them on in those peak time slots.
Yep.
Yeah? The amount of times that I used to get people complaining, people larking up, instructors, oh, you're taking all my classes off. That's not fair, blah, blah. It's like, well, hang on a second, guys. We're running a business. You need to understand from a business perspective, and as a GROUPEX manager, putting your GROUPEX manager hat on, this is what we need to do. Hard conversations to have with people, but you need to have them. You need to have that skill set as a GROUPEX manager who's running. GROUPEX manager to me is the CEO of GROUPEX. In your department, in your center. Yep. So you need to step up. You need to have the hard conversations with your members, with your instructors, and also with the people that are above you to explain everybody what's going on during that period. Yep, people above are going to tell you, no, Tony, you can't run classes on that day. Challenge them. Turn around and ask why. Why can't we? Yeah. Can I try this for one day? Give it a shot.
Yeah. I'm annoying like that. I always ask the questions. I always ask the why. Tell me why. Why have you done that? No, can't we do it this way? This would be better.
Yeah. Explain yourself. That's that's the big thing, the underlining thing for everything that I've chatted to people about on this show recently has been have a conversation. Open your mouth, start talking. Yep. The easiest way to find out something or work through something is to have a conversation.
Yep. And that's where a lot of people don't. And I think as adults, and depending on your workplace as well, sometimes you're not comfortable to do that, but then no one wins. Like before I was a group fitness manager, I was screamed at down the phone by a group fitness manager at me. We weren't permitted to provide feedback to ways to make change, where I'm big on, and the company that I work for is really big on that as well, that, hey, if you think something isn't being done right, don't just complain that it's shit.
Yep.
Come and say, this is why it's shit. This is how we could make it better. And we'll listen. I'll listen to that. But also, too, don't be offended if we don't like what you've come as a solution, or we can't change something because of something else. And I think that's what gets forgotten about. And, we all have these preset ideas on what it is being an adult. And, if you don't know something, being afraid to ask. Yeah. Like, please don't be afraid. Like when you work with me, that don't be afraid to ask a question. I'd rather you ask a stupid question a few times than, or as we say, no, questions are stupid. But I'd rather you ask the question a few times to get the understanding of it, because I want you to be independent. I want you to be confident in your role. I want you to know what you're doing. I want you to just know everything back to front and feel like you can do it.
Yeah.
Whereas not everyone feels like they can. And if they don't feel like that working with me, then that's my problem. It's me not communicating that clear enough. Like, I need to do better on my end. And I circle back a bit to when I trained in my first Les Mills program a little while ago now. I remember going to that being so nervous because I hadn't done any adult learning. Not for the last, we'll go with 20, something years. And I was so nervous going into that. And I just thought, oh my God, I'm going to be the worst here. I'm going to embarrass myself. I'm going to mess up. Like, this is terrible. Like, I was shitting my pants, for no lack of a better word. And when I actually got there as a trainee that hadn't done anything like this for a long time, it was actually a really supportive environment as an adult learning. And I think that was a big eye-opener for me, that, learning as an adult's good. Yeah. It's actually quite fun. And if you're in an environment where you feel supported and you feel like you can, like, it's great. And it just sort of makes you strive to be even better.
Yep. I think my takeaway from what you were just saying then is especially for a GROUPEX manager. Now, GROUPEX managers, most of us don't have a skill set and feel comfortable with conflict. Yeah, it's a hard, well, crap. Okay, I don't know how to handle this. I'm not sure. No one feels confident. No one likes conflict. Those that like conflict, I think there's some
narcissists.
Yes, there's some stuff going wrong up the top. In the top paddock, there's too much noise going on. But when you become a GROUPEX manager, there's a whole diverse range of leadership skills that we need to develop and need to understand. And part of that is conflict resolution and working out how to deal with all of that kind of stuff, and how to have the hard conversations, and how to also be open to someone coming in who's an instructor. To, as you said, you sound like you're really good at allowing other people to come to you with suggestions. You've got that open door policy. You feel really comfortable in that. Some people are the complete shutdown of that. No, don't know. I don't want to know about it. Yeah. There's that closed. Some people feel threatened. Some people are very, well, if you're coming in here to tell me that kind of stuff, what, are you trying to set my job? That kind of, that to me shows a lack of self-awareness for one, but also a lack of really understanding on what your role is as a GROUPEX manager. There's five that I know of, 5 key leadership styles and management styles that I'm working on for myself with what I do, but also that I think that GROUPEX managers need to hone in on. But that's part of, I suppose that's it, as you were saying, old adult education that I'm doing for myself to understand the process a bit better. A lot of GROUPEX managers come in and go, yeah, cool, this is what we've got to do. Oh, I've got feedback I've got to sort out. How do I? Oh, righto. Yep. I remember one of the first times back at North Sydney, wasn't North Sydney, it was Bondi Platinum. I was covering a class on a Saturday morning, an RPM high performance class. Pete Manuel was his class and he was away for a bit, asked me to step in. It's like, sure, Pete, yeah, I can do this, no worries. And I'd been team teaching with him for a bit, and it was a class that I normally rock up to. I rocked up and we were into, I think it was track 3 and 52 bikes, I think was in this studio. A guy walked in from the back through track 3, walked in through all the bikes while we're standing up trying to move, all that kind of stuff.
Don't tell me he was new.
No. Found his wife, and then she gets off a bike, and so they both walk out. And I was like, this is while we're still climbing and doing, pedals going everywhere, people moving side to side, all that kind of stuff. Then she comes back in track 5. At the end of track 5, I just said, oh, no, sorry, you need to go. It's like, what? How dare you? And they actually arced up at me. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing anything else until you leave. You've interrupted us twice. Unsafe. You could have hurt anybody. I'm sorry. You're out. Yep. 3/4 of the class were like, yeah, Tone, yeah, we're on your side, mate. That was so dangerous. That was stupid, blah, blah, blah. The other third of the class or whatever it was arced up and were just like, oh, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. Yep. I waited till she left. Waited till she left and got on with the class. Now, the rest of the class was a bit, no, because there was energy that was all over the shop in the class. We got through it all. The end of class, I was like, right, I walked off, got to reception. Club manager standing there waiting at me and had a go at me. I was like, whoa, hang on a second. You haven't heard my version or my side of the story yet at all, but you had a go. Club manager should have had a skill set. Didn't have a skill set to be able to have a conversation with me. It was just members come up to me and said something. They're pissed off. Right, I need to come down to my instructor. You've done the wrong thing. Yep. I didn't go back there to teach ever again. As an instructor, I was like, cool, you know what? Yep, you made a decision. Fair enough. Yep. I was in the change room. The husband came up to me and tried to have a go at me. So hang on a second. You did the wrong thing. Yep. My version, their version, somewhere in between, and I said this on the episode the other day as well, somewhere in between is the real right answer, the what should have actually happened.
Yep.
I was making sure and taking care of the safety for everybody in there. Club manager, I could have also handled that situation in class quite differently. Now I look back on it, I could have. At the time, no, there's only this way to do it. Club manager at the time, oh no, there's only this way to do it. My point being is that with that whole diversified range of leadership skills, management skills that we have, we've got to be able to deal with that conflict as well. Yeah. Everybody in that situation could have handled it differently. The husband, seriously, dude, couldn't you have waited for it, 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Was it that important that you needed to come in now and interrupt the class and interrupt 50 other people in there? Her, did she have to get off the bike? Yeah. All it was is he wanted to go home from the gym early, and so her keys were in her locker for the car. That was all the situation was. But it was, when you look at it, it's like, really? That for a GROUPEX manager, for an instructor, for everybody, the skill set needed, nobody had at that time. That whole situation didn't need to be blown out of proportion whatsoever. And I think it's the phone calls that happened afterwards from the GROUPEX manager to me, telling me that I was so out of line and all of that kind of stuff. It was like, wow, you're not at all trying to understand this situation.
No.
Even the skill set of that phone call could have been handled so differently.
This is the GROUPEX podcast.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the failures are, isn't it? Well, that so many people in management, and I'm not just talking about in the fitness industry, don't have that management skill set or the understanding of, other people's like personality or learning styles. And I know, for example, when I did my first advanced instructor module for RPM, and I was always, because I was new, so I was exciting and yelling at people, and I just thought, go, 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 and being like, oh, this is what they needed, like to be motivational. And my mind was blown learning that some people need praise.
Yep.
Because I didn't. I was just like, get in, absolutely flog me and get me out. Like, to me, that was like, what? And I came away from that like, what the fuck? For a lack of a better. And it really affected my teaching, having to relearn and understand that not everyone wants that rah, rah, rah. Like, some people just want to be told you're doing a good job, even if it's shit. Some people want to know why we're there. How do we do it? Why? Like, what are we doing it for? Like, how is this going to benefit me? other people are the ones in the class that you know that they like a little bit of conversation, a bit of shaming and whatever else. And it's sort of, and I came away from that, and I remember teaching one of my first RPMs after it, and I remember these two members, they just looked at each other and just went, like, where's Shaz gone?
Yeah.
Because, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I was completely different. So it took me about 3 months of teaching after that to not throw up in my mouth every time I said, well done.
Yep.
Like, it was me, like, reteaching, because I didn't need it. I didn't need to be told I was doing a good job in a workout.
Yeah.
But learning that other people are not like me was a huge thing that I had to change. And as I said, now when I teach, I praise all the time. I make sure I'm hitting all the different personality types within my coaching, when I am teaching. And but that's the thing. But I didn't understand that that's what some people needed. Whereas, that completely like remolded my thoughts. And then that now, like that particular aim that I did with Karen Russell, which was amazing, like that has now molded sort of how I changed everything from there. That and that's how I am with like my team as well. That to quote my orthopedic surgeon, I'm not judging, I'm observing. So it's,
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's,
Yeah.
I can come across as judgmental. Don't get me wrong. I understand that. And I know a lot of people that, that'll watch this will think, yes, she's a judgmental bitch, but that's fine. But the thing is, I'm so observant that I'm paying attention to that. So if I'm getting feedback from a member that comes in and says to me, oh, I didn't like this instructor, or I didn't like that, I don't take it as gospel, because chances are that member has got no idea what they're talking about. They're not trained in the program. They don't understand how it's supposed to be delivered or coached, or, what the bold point cues are that we're supposed to be using on a regular thing. And then so it's only if I get like a lot of negative feedback or something like that, then I'll have a conversation with that instructor and just say, hey, can you tell me a bit about this class? Like, I've just had a bit of feedback on it. Can you explain to me, like, did anything happen in that class or what went on? And chances are it's completely different to what the members have said or something like that. And then I can have a conversation. 9 times out of 10, I don't even speak to the instructor about it unless it's something whatever. But at the same time, if I get praise that someone really liked someone, boom, that's straight to them. And I also try and make sure that's done in a public forum where other people hear that someone did a great job, because that peer recognition is huge.
Yeah. I'm going to share with you that I went and did my own one for RPM as well. I did it. It was a Saturday, Sunday course. I got in there and I was teaching Monday lunchtime. Words didn't come out. It was probably the shittest class that I think I've ever taught, because I was trying to implement everything that I'd learnt that weekend.
Yeah.
So the autopilot had been switched off, and this new pilot was trying to fly this plane. And holy shit, I had members at the end of the class going, "Are you okay? What's going on? Like, you're not firing today. Like, what's happening?" Once I got back in there, I think the next time I was in with that same group was I think it was the Wednesday or the Friday lunchtime. It landed because the noise had settled a bit, and I sort of got it. They all said, all those that were the noisy ones that were like, "Dude, are you okay?" Were like, "Oh shit, now we get what you were trying to do." Because it had finally landed, and I was like, yeah, okay, let's go for it. But you have moments, I think all instructors, even managers, we have moments when we've learned something and we're trying to put it into practice, not practice, trying to put it into practice where it won't land the first time. It might not. And that's okay. You know what? We're human. We're going to get through this no matter what. But it was one of those moments, I just remember, as you were saying with the aim, that was this memorable moment of me going, oh, wow, that was a car crash.
Yeah.
That was shit, Tony.
What's my block focus? Where's my silence? Am I praising someone? Am I saying the whys and the whats? Yeah.
Mate, the biggest one for me, and I shared this on here before, was when Mike McSweeney, God rest his soul, team taught with me in North Sydney when they come back to Australia for a bit. And I asked for feedback when I team taught with him. At the end, he said, "Tony, in track 6, shut up." I'll never forget it. Set him up and, dude, shut up. I can't even remember the class now, but I must have spoken throughout the whole bloody thing. And that was his only bit of feedback. Dude, set him up, shut up. Just please shut up. Let the music do what it's got to do.
Yeah.
And it sat with me for so long from that point forward. Sometimes you need to actually have those moments of, I'm not going to say anything to force you to do something or force you to say something. Yep. It's the hardest thing to do when you're so used to talking so much and doing so much, to actually go, Tony, just stop for a second. Let the silence sit to see what the other person in the conversation is going to do or how they react, because it'll either force them to do something, or in that regards with class was get them to focus on the task at hand. I didn't need to motivate them anymore. Jesus Christ, they knew what they had to do. They were in there for 2.5 minutes. Go.
Yeah.
They didn't need me to say something to them every 16 or 38 counts. No.
No.
Just do your thing. Yep. And I think that's my point with that, is relating that back to management. If we, GROUPEX managers, if you're out there and you're learning something new, don't expect to nail it the first time.
No.
Yeah. Work on it. That's why you've gone and done the education for yourself, to actually be better with your team, better with your department, better with everything you're doing. Learn and realize that we've all started somewhere. Training wheels are on for a long time, on for longer for some than others. Yeah. But it doesn't matter. Yeah. And have the conversations. Open your mouth, have the conversations with people. Don't be afraid. Don't, as one of the worst things I do is have that whole conversation in my head before I've actually had a verbal conversation with someone. I talk myself out of it sometimes. Talk myself out of even having the conversation before the conversation's even had, thinking that's going to be the worst thing ever. Don't do it.
Easily done.
Yeah. And I think I'm not the only one with that. There's so many people I've spoken to as well have gone, yeah, we've done that before. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bad trait. Yeah. Yeah. Learn from it. Move forward. Yeah.
Always learning.
Yeah, definitely. On that, feedback and development. Let's touch on that one really quickly, because I know we've been chatting for almost an hour or so now, and I want to make sure that these don't go for too long, because as I've said to a lot of guests, I could talk underwater with a mouthful of marbles and probably, for 8 or 9 hours. So
I've been told that about me too.
Up. Yeah. I need to pull myself up on these and make sure we sort of go, right, yep. But on the feedback and development, not so much from your members, but from your instructors to you as a GROUPEX manager. How do you handle that? Are you open door? Are you closed door? You mentioned before that you like the feedback coming through, but how do you process that kind of stuff? And if you can, guide us through that process that you work with.
I think more now, it's more, for me, it's actually assisting the group fitness managers that need to provide that feedback with instructors at their clubs, that they get told that someone's not doing something right, or whatever else. And depending on what it is, whether it's their coaching style or whether it's their technique or something like that, there are multiple different ways. Like, you can just start participating in classes, and just randomly do spot checks. And then, also if you're participating, expect them to mess up, because they tend to get nervous when their group fitness manager's in there, even if they're just in there for their own fun, not there to observe. Or it's like things that, get them to film a track or two of the class they're teaching or the actual thing, and then get them to watch it and ask them how they think they did. Is there any room for improvement? Like what, all that sort of stuff. Like, I've had times where I've done that with instructors, and I've said, can you, film yourself and then let me know how you think it went. Now, my observant nature is looking at that and going, hang on, you're not in the right position on that plank. Like, your shoulders are way back, your butt's in the air, whatever else. And I want them to report on it themselves.
Yep.
And then that also gives an understanding of what they're seeing. Because it's not about us telling them. And I meant this same one that, I'm looking at this instructor, and she's come back and she's like, oh, yeah, I thought I looked pretty hot. Like, that was her feedback on herself. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas I'm looking at from an analytical sort of perspective, but then it gives me the understanding that she's actually got no idea that her technique's off.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that you've said that, because it's one of my favorite ways of giving feedback and doing assessing, that kind of stuff, is video yourself. Yep. I can't get in. If I got a timetable that's got 70 instructors, I can't get across to all of you. Yeah. If I've got to try and do it in a certain period of time, I may try and spread it over a year, but things happen, instructors come, go, whatever it may be. If they can videotape themselves, set the camera up, do whatever you can, just video yourself, sit down and watch it. And then, you know what? come in with me and we'll sit down and watch a track or two together. Yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
going to sit there and say anything. I'm going to let you say whatever you want, because it allows the instructor to be open and feel a bit more comfortable. It is a confronting thing straight up, because they think you're going to be critiquing everything that they do. I don't care about choreography. Completely honest with you. I do not care whether that was 4 counts or something or 10 counts or something, whatever. Yeah, I'm not going to sit there with the choreo notes and be ticking stuff off and go, oh, no, you screwed that up, because that's not why I would be assessing you, because your members don't know the choreo. They're not going to complain because you got the choreo wrong. If they got the choreo wrong and a member come up and said that, I'd be going, you need to do your training for that program then. That's what I'd be saying to the member. Yeah, if you know the choreo better, let's go do your training. You're an instructor in the making. Let's go. But for that instructor, if they've had feedback, let them understand what's going on and then turn around to them and say, okay, as you said, how did that go? How do you think you went with that? This is what I saw. This is what I'd be saying as a Group X manager. This is what I saw with that. It's not saying it's right or wrong, but hey, have you tried this? I saw this. Potentially try this. Yeah. Give them the shit sandwich, the old shit sandwich that we're taught to do, the good stuff, the crap in the middle, and then add the good stuff on the end and go, yep, hey, this is what it is. But you've got to work on your delivery for your feedback as well, but making sure that you do take the time to give it in a way that is correct for the person that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Again, coming back to understanding their personality type, but also your style of delivery on your managerial skill set that you have, to make sure you've got the right skill set to be able to deliver it as well.
Yeah. And I think that's where it quite often gets lost in translation for people, that they're delivering it in a way that they would like to receive it, not realizing that doesn't
who they're delivering it to
land. And I've been doing some work recently with my GFMs about that, and it's really great to see them actually like realizing that light bulb go off, that, oh, hang on. And then, you know what, sometimes it doesn't always work. And I've had one recently, they go, oh, I think I messed up. Like, this is what I tried to do, and they were trying to do the right thing. But then she reached out for assistance, which is perfect, that, you're not going to get it right all the time. And if you need help, ask. If you need help, ask.
Yep. Almost say to your instructor, come on, bring the video over. It's Netflix and chill. In that way of, we're going to sit down and watch this together and just be cool.
Yeah. And I
understand. I think for me, as soon as I was able to sit down with someone and watch it, you understand from them the style that's going to work straight away. Yep. Instead of going, right, I'm going to come in and assess you, blah, 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 blah. You need to do this. Whoa. If someone come into my class and try to give me assessment or feedback like that, I'd arc up straight away and be telling them where to go and how to get there.
Yeah.
Yep. Sit down with me. Say to me, Tone, can you video your class? Yeah, sure. I'm going to be my own worst critic. And know that I think most instructors are out there when they video themselves, unless they're that self-absorbed, and by all means, I don't mean any offense with this, but the girl you were saying that said before that she looks so pretty, you know what? She probably is pretty. She's probably hot as, but that wasn't the reason we were assessing her. Yeah. It wasn't about how she was looking or what she was doing or anything, that kind of stuff. It was, for her, it was my makeup fine? How are my eyelashes? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's different feedback, different types of people, but I'd say also her understanding, you know what? No, we don't care we care what you look like, but we don't care what you look like.
Yeah. And I mean, in my clubs, especially like in the early days, I receive lots of compliments for having instructors that look like normal people.
Yep.
That, do you know what I mean? Like, you weren't just this buff like thing in booty shorts and a crop top and whatever else. And really, it's not just about the looks. Like, we had people, and like for me, especially right now, I'm not as athletic looking as I used to be, but I could still get on the bike and teach a class, but then makes it more realistic for the people that are uncomfortable or coming back, or even like all the surgeries that I've had in the last few years, coming back and teaching something. And I'll be like, now chances are you're fitter than me in this class. So, if you want to feel good about yourself, come to this class, sort of thing. And reminding people that it's okay not to feel okay. Like now that I've learned that some people need to know that, I'm continually doing that in a class, because I'll come back in after not teaching for a while from rehabbing, and, like at the moment, I could pedal stroke enough to teach an RPM class, but I would die. I would be, there'd definitely be a lot of silence because I wouldn't be able to talk and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
But it's about creating that normal, that you don't have to be lean and athletic to participate or teach in group fitness class. You don't have to be able to do a jump squat. I'll give you 4 options for a squat if you can't do one. Like right now, I'm going to go participate in grit on Sunday at workshops, and I'm going to set up a step so I can sit on it to do a squat and then stand up because physically I'm unable to do a squat. That's what we need to see more of, not like this is what you can do. So it's what I want to see in the industry. Yeah.
To me, I think it has changed, from when I remember first getting in 2002, 2003, that you had to be fit, you had to be ripped. It was what the industry expected. Yep. As we said right from the beginning of when we started talking, the industry has changed so much since 2003. The industry's changed a hell of a lot since the C happened, 2019, 2020. Since then, the industry has changed even more so that we're getting more people coming in and they want it to be relatable. They want the whole diversifying, instructors and all that kind of stuff that we're seeing. We're seeing gay instructors, we're seeing black instructors, we're seeing every single type of instructor that is out there in the industry, which tick the boxes. Yeah, man, we're doing it and we're doing it properly. Now, go back to the early 2000s, you had to be ripped. And if you weren't ripped, you were getting ridiculed, you were getting made fun of, all of that kind of stuff. The bullying stuff that was going on was horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. You needed to be a wafer thin or have muscles everywhere in order to be seen to be, okay, you're good enough to be on the timetable. Now, people have gone through that stage. We've gone through that stage where, and I believe it's getting there. It's not there completely yet, but we're getting more and more of it, where you can have someone that is not entirely fit and have people in your class that are fitter than you while you're teaching, because it's relatable. Yeah. Hey, we're in here to get fit together.
Yeah.
I'm not an athlete. I don't need to be an athlete to be in front of you. I need to role model what has got to be done. Yeah, I need to role model. I need to be able to guide you through. But at the same time, you know what? If I'm not hitting the mark the whole time, that's okay. Yeah, everybody's fitness journey is different. Everybody's fitness journey is different.
Yeah, and I think for me too, like if one of my instructors is slightly injured, I'm not opposed to them still teaching and having to do a reduced range of movements, because that makes people realise that, well, hang on, my knee's a bit sore today. I can still come in and do an option. Like even before I had my spine fused about 6.5 years ago, I used to wear a back brace that had like 4 metal rods down the back, and it was basically like a corset that I'd put on under my shirt. And I remember like some people would come in and go, oh, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, oh yeah, like I've just got a fractured spine and, a few other things like that. And then they'd look at me like, oh, my back's a bit sore. And then they'd just go off and do the class. Like it gave them a realization that, do you know what? You just got to do it at what your body can. Like, I don't care if you can't do a burpee with a jump. I don't care if you squat and walk back to your burpee. I just care that you're moving. The amount of times it's like, here, use a step to do a burpee so you don't have to get to the floor. You can't do that range. Shoulder saw, do a push-up against the wall. Like there are options in it.
Do what you can do. Yeah,
it makes it realistic for people, and they like seeing instructors struggle. Like they froth over it. Like every time I come back and I'm like, like trying to do RPM, or I'll be like, I can't even keep the speed, or I'm like dying. Like they're loving it and laughing at me because I'm worse than them. Like it's, you need that.
Yeah.
You need that real. And that's where I think, you've got to keep it real. And as you said, like in the early 2000s, it wasn't as real. Whereas now there's a much more focus on being healthy and things like that, there are so many different types of body shapes. Like you can look at someone on the gym floor that's all lean and ripped and, might be Instagram famous and have a following or whatever else, but they might not be cardio fit. Like if they had to run to the bus stop to catch a bus, they'd die of a heart attack. Yeah. But they look pretty. Yeah. But pretty's not all that matters. Oh. Face the radio, Tony.
Damn it. I knew I should have stopped this YouTube business. Hey, I want to wrap it up, but I'm going to ask you one more question before we do. What bit of feedback, what bit of inspiration do you want to give to anyone that's watching or listening out there at the moment? Is there any?
I think there's a place for group exercise, like anywhere, no matter what it is or for who. That, and if something's not working, change it. Like you've got the opportunity to do better, be better, learn from your mistakes, listen to people around you, be a sponge, absorb. Like it's not set in stone, and it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that.
You're
But
welcome.
thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for chatting with me. Thank you for spending, an hour and a half or whatever it is of your time, having a gossip and gas bag to me. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. If anyone wants to reach out and get in touch with you, are you happy for me to pass details through, that kind of stuff? Cool.
100%.
Guys, if you do have any questions, come through to me, or if you know Sharon directly, please reach out. We're both of us more than happy to talk and help GroupEX managers through stuff, or even instructors if you want some advice on something on how to become an instructor, how to become a GroupEX manager, or what have you. Please, reach out, give us a call, have a chat. We're here to help.
Thanks for having me.
No worries, man. It was fun.